Let's bring in Matt Pottinger. He's former Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump. He's also chair now of the Foundation for Defense of Democracy's China program. Matt, thank you for taking time with us today. What do you make of the pause? When do you think it's going to end and we're going to have a full resumption of a full-blown trade war in the imminent future?
Yeah, it's great to be with you. Look, we have this pause right now where China and the U.S. have drawn down a significant amount of those reciprocal tariffs that have been in place for the last couple of months. But look, Beijing is not interested in rebalancing its economy to be a consumer economy. They're not interested in helping the United States rebuild our manufacturing sector. In fact, we saw that Xi Jinping, I want to read you a quote from Xi Jinping just last week, okay? He said, "We must keep strengthening the manufacturing sector, adhere to the principles of self-reliance and self-improvement, and master key core technologies." So what you're hearing there is Xi repeating a refrain that he's been making ever since he first came to power 13 years ago. Remember, he's a Marxist-Leninist. He believes that China must dominate the means of production. That means manufacturing. And he's not going to rest until he's confident that the rest of the world is completely dependent on China for all of its manufactured goods. So that's a bit of a reality check from Xi Jinping himself.
Well, she has a sort of higher threshold for economic pain than the United States in the sense that, you know, here there's feedback between our leaders in power and voters. You're always accountable to the American people, whereas he is not to the Chinese people. That said, though, they have some real, I would say, weaknesses in their sort of overall economic picture. They've got, as you well know, high youth unemployment. High urban unemployment is a problem, too, as I understand it. How much does that kind of factor into their calculations, if at all?
Yeah, it factors. Again, like you said, Xi Jinping doesn't have to stand for election, so he can tolerate pain for longer, but it's not interminable pain that he can withstand. After all, he was happy to have that zero COVID policy where he'd shut down China's access from the rest of the world.
And exported everybody with COVID to other countries. But
That's
yeah,
right. Well, that was literally the policy. But the fact remains that Xi Jinping is vulnerable because he still depends on foreign export markets. When he's done away with really the real estate sector as a major engine of growth, he's done away with consumption. People are out of jobs in China. They're scared to spend money. What he's doubling down on is manufacturing, and he's doubling down on counting on the rest of the world, and particularly the United States, to buy his stuff. If the United States accounts for about 20% of China's exports, that's a massive number. But when you account for the fact that the U.S. is also a reliable customer, the fact that we pay on time, that we pay rates, we probably account for a much larger percentage of China's profits. So that is a key vulnerability, and that's why President Trump's not wrong to be looking at tariffs as really a key lever here.
Real quick, I was reading that should this trade war resume in full force in the imminent future, something President Trump says is still on the table, job losses here in the United States could surge up to 9 million. That would obviously certainly be a hard sell for the American people.
Yeah, well, look, the United States has a couple of vulnerabilities. The good news is these are vulnerabilities that we can close, but it means that President Trump needs to get his National Security Council staff working on a program to make us independent of China for many of the key things that we need to maintain our own manufacturing. Rare earths, for example. Beijing knows that it's found a pressure point by cutting off rare earths and powerful magnets and things that go into making military equipment and electric vehicles. But these are fungible commodities. It's just that we've allowed China to dominate these commodities. So we need to build in a system of price supports so that people are incentivized to invest into rare earths, knowing that they can't be thrown out of business the next time China floods the market with its subsidized commodities. So that means some kind of a price support that needs to be put into place. Tariffs can play a role in that, but it needs to be a more systematic thing. Same thing for medicine or the ingredients that go into making medicines. We're much too dependent on China for those things. We've known for years we've been too dependent on those things. So it's time for the president to even if he doesn't declare literally an emergency, it has to be with this sense of emergency type mindset, real sense of urgency to break us from this dependency.
Well, I was just thinking, good luck to the NSC with all of that. Matt, thanks for taking time with us today. We really appreciate hearing from you.
It's good to be with you.
Thanks.